Here we have Nova v Alasdair. Alasdair is Burmese, Nova as Malay. In Nova v Sparty, we saw Malay win twice. In this same matchup, expect Malay to win again. Nova and Alasdair very strong players. I think Nova is comfortable with different options, whereas Alasdair tends to stick to Champs Help Siege Onager, which is probably what we'll see. Standard build on 11 by 11. Cutting for house in the corner. Gonna put the market here. Both players using the same build. And if we look, both players very even. There's a lot of little things on 11 by 11 you can do to get a slight advantage, but they don't really matter in a 1v1 on a 3-player map. It's very slight advantages at the beginning. When you have solid players, there's very little difference between the play. So why do Burmese have such a hard time fighting Malay? Because infantry fights do not move very much. As the Burmese player, you have to be comfortable sending your units in and leaving a mass of infantry behind your army. You have to get ground as quickly as you can because you're going to be losing the resources you need, whereas the Malay will have plenty. I think as Burmese, the play is to go heavy Scorpion, make champs, run your champs forward to kill any bombard cannons. You'll want a couple bombard cannons of your own to take down buildings. If you go bombard cannon, Scorpion, champs, you should be able to push, provided you're not using your champs to fight two hands. You're just running them as far forward as they possibly can go and clearing out any Malay siege. It can work. Your other option as Burmese is to open up the map and go Hussar, or you can open up the map with champs and run around with champs. Either way, you want an open map because each Burmese unit is going to do more than each Malay unit, with the Burmese having champs having 3 more attack and the Malay not even getting the champ upgrade. As the Malay player, Nova's seen this Civ matchup twice in the first round. I expect he will fight in a relatively small path, push forward. We did see Malay archers. Definitely against Burmese, you know that your infantry are not going to be able to trade all that well. So it will take a while to push. Alasdair struggling to get his market up. A lot of idle villagers. Generally, you can... Part of the build order is building with the right amount of villagers, so you don't have that problem. Malay archers are decent. They get arbalest. Archers counter infantry. So if you have archers as a Malay, 2 hands of course, and some bombard cannons. Bombard cannons to clear any siege, any buildings, archers for the infantry, and 2 hands in front. very strong, and that does counter the melee option of champ. Oh, we see Alasdair shift clicking here. Only one onager. That's interesting. I think that was maybe a mistake on his part, only having one in him. I don't know that it was intentional. But if you have champs to run forward, it should be difficult for the melee to mass archers. You can add in hussar if the melee player is adding arbalists. If you let arbalists get massed, the bombard cannons and scorps you should have will work, and you can add in an onager or two if you have to. Although I really do think heavy scorpion, champion, bombard cannon, knowing that you may need to add hussar, will work very well. But I don't think Alasdair is very comfortable running his units forward. Tends to fight units rather than go for positioning, which will work in the melee favor. The castle going up, needed for those 2 hands to not cost gold. We're seeing 3 blacksmiths. I don't know that it's necessarily needed. Definitely on a 2-player map, 3 blacksmiths, especially if you're going archers, is a good play. Doesn't hurt. Provided you can keep vills producing, which Novatas have plenty of food to do so. Definitely helps to not forget blacksmith upgrades, and we see the first unit lost. Actually, Alasdair has killed a vill already. Five town centers. Not enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the melee player. So the melee player is going to have the better eco. You really need to boom hard as Burmese, because the comp mentioned champs, bombard cannon, scorpion, that all costs gold. So I would go 7, 8 town centers, boom hard. Prepare that army comp. It's very difficult to counter. The melee 2 hands, arbs, and bombards, not as strong as Burmese champs, heavy scorps, and bombards. So you should be booming here. Maybe it's a lack of awareness. Alasdair may not have seen Nova's play the first game. Alasdair didn't need as many town centers in his matchup. But you definitely want the stronger economy as the Burmese player, since you'll be going through more gold. Nova has 25 villager lead. That will hurt. He has 3,000 more food, 2,000 more gold. The much stronger position already. Burmese halbs, you can use halbs to fight the 2 hands pretty effectively. We see 16 attack on the 2 hands, 13 on the halbs. Same armor, same health. So you can trade halbs quite reasonably. And halbs are a trash unit, but the problem is your trash unit is still worse than the melee trash unit. So I'm not sure. We do see plenty of bombards. This is why if you have that champion mass, you have bombards of your own, you can run champs forward, clear out all this siege. Maybe even go Hussar at this point. Adding a castle Alasdair intends to. He has bought so much stone. Burmese unique unit does clear out infantry pretty nicely, does clear out siege pretty nicely. Are we going to see that Arambai play? You'd think so with this much stone. Trading pretty nicely there. See Nova's trash, just a bit better. These champions need to come forward, kill the siege. Now Alasdair doesn't have his buildings far enough forward. He needs Scorps or Bombards to clear these archers. There's nothing infantry is going to be able to do here. Like I said, Alasdair are going to opt for infantry and onagers. This comp will not work against Arbs, Two Hands, and Bombards. So if he adds Scorpions or Bombards of his own, maybe Hussar, or if he can just land a couple of shots, there we go. Now that the champs are massed, they're going to be able to clear out all of the units here. If you can just push buildings, capped ram, decent for pushing buildings, bombard would be much better here. This bombard counters so much. Nova in a bit of panic here. He does have the resource lead slightly. What do you do here in Nova's position? Add production buildings. Prepare to be fighting out of your base. Add some siege to clear out this mass. Alasdair has the forward buildings he needs. But you can't let Arbs mass right now. There's only 8. And that's still doing a lot of damage. You gotta run forward and kill the Arbs with these champs. If Alasdair was continually pushing his champs forward, he'd already be through here. He's getting caught up on these trash units. It's letting Arbs slowly mass. We do see the bombards go down. Again, the Malay army just not strong enough to compete with champs. You really need to work on holding until your economy lead can push, or that you can mass enough units behind your Two Hands to trade effectively. If this onager can get a shot on the Arbs, Nova the one running forward killing siege, and Alasdair has to go halves. He's running low. He could sell food. Now that he's on the back foot, this is how you win his melee. You just hold long enough for the other player to have to change up to trash units. Alasdair, 50 pot too short. Really struggling with wood. You have to be comfortable selling a little bit of food or adding some Hussar here. If he can't stabilize, that will be it. Let's see if he's queuing up any vills. No vills queued. A castle too far forward. These bombards in this trebuchet can knock it down easily. So that was a mistake with placement, although it will go up. And enough champs massed to push. Nova has Arbs massed. These need to go down for Alasdair to have a shot here. He can't because of the bombards. Now heavy Scorps come up for melee. Scorpions are very effective fighting infantry. Onagers will knock them down, but if you have bombards and onagers of your own, that shouldn't be an issue. Looks like Nova is slowly pushing. The siege mass, a really good balance between the forward military, infantry, and the damage in the back. And Alasdair just does not have the res to fight here. 100 pop under and that's it. Should be calling the GG. Looks like he wants to see it out a bit more. Oh, the two hands are in his base. His champs, the back of his base, nothing here. If you're not adding buildings here, you're losing vills, you're already under popped. He has mass champs. He's gonna run them forward. They're all gonna die because he's fighting the trash in the front. If he'd run to the Arbs, could have worked. Still some two hands in the base. Population, Alasdair's still 50 under. Hasn't been able to maintain full pop. And I think if he'd run forward with champs in the beginning, could have been in a much better position. Halbs still under pop. Nova doesn't even have full pop space. And at this point, Alasdair trying to hold on, doesn't see this. And he's not floating res. So he's going to need to call it pretty soon. This game already over. As the buildings go up in the back of his base. There's no res to fight at this point. So again, we saw this matchup twice in Alasdair against Sparty. If we look, Nova, far more units killed. Alasdair needed to run forward and kill the units in the back. Got too caught up fighting those two hands. Byzantines versus Burmese. Byzantines is interesting. They have slightly faster imp, since it's cheaper. They have some good trash, a lot of good options. Against Burmese, you could maybe go cataphracts, you could go arbalists. I'm not sure how Alasdair is going to play it, since I'm so used to seeing him only make infantry and onagers. I guess he did make a trebuchet or two in the first game, but Burmese, very, very strong civ. Their army is expensive, but they can switch to halbs, which still do a pretty good job, unless they're against Scorpion or archers or champions. Halbs can trade decently. As long as there's not too much of a mass that they're fighting. at least long enough for you to get some gold to get out those champions or some siege. Nova frequently garrisoning here. Really wants to select what trees he chops. See, already has space for market, adding space for a 4th farm once he hits feudal. Alasdair doesn't quite have as clean of a build as Nova does. See the market go up. Alasdair gets first sell. Doesn't build a blacksmith yet. We'll have to go back later. This farm misplaced. There it goes. So Alasdair's transition was a bit cleaner in feudal, although his Dark Age was not as clean. Since you have time to get a castle up, you can think of making a castle unit. I think Byzantine Cataphracts is the play here. Burmese don't really have the archer option to counter. To fight the Cataphracts as Burmese, your infantry will not be as bad as infantry normally would, but still, Cataphracts could be the play here. I will just be surprised if we see that from Alasdair. The 5th farm up, adding a market. Blacksmith now to go up. Nova also on 6 farms. Both players very clean builds for the most part. Space is being used very effectively, very efficiently. Very similar times on the Castle Age. We'll see if Nova will catch back up on the bills. Still 2 behind, not a huge difference. Definitely not enough to sway the game too much in Alasdair's favor. So definitely hoping to see Cataphracts. As Burmese, you want to go heavy on siege because you don't know what the Byzantines player will have. If they have Arbalists, you're going to need siege. If they have Cataphracts, you're going to want some siege. If Byzantine's player goes infantry, they're making a mistake, unless they have plenty to back it up. You of course want a little bit in the front as a buffer, and to jostle for positions. Farm could go here. Could add a farm here as well now. So maybe not as clean of a build. You definitely want as many farms as you can possibly have. Nova's going to imp. Farm could go here, farm could go here. Sometimes it is better to have lumber camps rather than farms if you are quite far from town centers, so you don't have to walk as far to drop off, but this lumber camp close enough, can build the farm here. Not as important on a 3-player map. Alasdair, huge villager lead, hasn't yet gone up to imp. Nova elected to go much sooner. Nova did go more town centers last game. We'll see if he does so this game. In which case, this lead will shrink That will probably have the village again. Alasdair managing to keep his town centers producing while going to Imp with a slightly delayed Imp. Could have gone up much sooner with the Byzantines' cheaper Imp. 3 town centers compared to the 2. Will we see Alasdair add the town centers he needs here? How much stone does he have? Has not bought any yet. Nova, still 3 town centers, but adding more farms. A third. Going for a castle. At least one. And another town center. Both players cutting the wrong way. Nova thinks Alasdair is here. Alasdair thinks Nova is here. They should meet here, which will work out a bit better for Nova. He will have the option to cut into Alasdair's base on the side, if he should so choose. More town centers for Nova. Alasdair still on 4, not adding enough. And we saw last game, it was his economy that ended up killing him. It's adding a 5th. While Nova already adding a 7th. So again, Nova's going to have the economy lead. Managed to catch up on bills, has more population space. Alasdair still hasn't added his castle. Looks like he is only adding 1 at this point. Maybe we won't see cataphracts. If you're going cataphracts, you need to boom hard. If Nova goes that comp, champions, heavy scorpions, bombard cannons, onagers also, and runs his champs forward, it should be a very quick fight. Alasdair is opting for some ranged units, knows that he will need to counter the Burmese infantry. Oh. That's not good. Skirmishers. Byzantine skirmishers cost less. Well, this will be over quick if this is the comp he's going with. Skirmishers do very, very little damage to champions. Very, very little damage to siege. Alasdair did struggle to have full pop. Doesn't have the space here. Maybe he's going to add another castle at some point to get up to 250. So maybe he's going trash as a way to fill his population while he works on getting out more expensive units. But you just do not make, as soon as you see someone making skirmishers, you know that they are on the back foot. Stable, so maybe we will see the cataphracts. They can see each other now. Nova was going the wrong way, but again has this wall of production buildings. should work out to his favor because if Alasdair pushes this way, Nova can attack from the side. Trading Siege working out in Nova's favor. If this was any other unit, having a foothold here would be good. Skirmishers, not so much. We see a couple champs come in, and there go the skirmishers. So what is Alasdair making? Still skirmishers. This is just not the play here. Will be over very quickly if he does not change from making only trash. Opted. He's floating so much resource. It's been insane. Could add production buildings here, here, here. With Nova pushing, you want to be doing that quickly. Cataphracts would clear this up. And here they come. But the castle's going to go down. No longer has Cataphracts as an option. Should have opened with them. Maybe. It's just no stopping this. Nova has a huge score lead. Skirmishers not the play here. We're not seeing skirmishers into anything. Alasdair is going to go down floating 50,000 resources, it looks like. Not sure what we just saw there. That was bad call for the skirmishers. Nova punished appropriately. Well played to both. Alasdair out of the tournament. Nova advances to round 3.